What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another Juice Reacts video. We are jumping into another 40k video, and of course, we're going back to Major Kill. Now, the reason why I wanted to watch this one is because, yes, I do like the abrasive humor, but at the same time, he has a video on Slaanesh explained by an Australian. So I want to see what he does in this video, what he talks about, and of course, Slaanesh. I want to learn more about it. So we're going to jump into that right now. But before we do, ladies and gentlemen, hit that subscribe button because 91% of you are not subscribed to this channel, but you love watching these videos. But anyways, right now, we're going to jump into this video by Major Kill. Let's check it out.
What's hard about making a video about the god of sex, drugs, and rock and roll is that no matter how hard I try, there is just no way this is getting monetized. So I may as well say fuck it and go all out.
Yeah.
I feel free, like a priest in a kindergarten during after school hours. Everything I say is inconsequential. Well, not everything, but you see what I mean. As 98% of you are males, we're going to have a ripper time today.
Damn.
Talking about tits and ass and drugs and railing drugs off tits and ass. We'll also discuss the deep and horrific consequences of chasing the dragon. Surprisingly, Slaanesh isn't all about sex and drugs, something Games Workshop have been trying to make a point of recently. Although you can't really blame people for making that mistake, as in Warhammer 40k, Slaanesh was fucked into existence at the climax of the galaxy's biggest drug-fueled orgy. Now this wouldn't be a proper Slaanesh video if I didn't mention titties. The Major Kill hentai calendar, which is 100% not endorsed or connected to Games Workshop in any way, shape or form, and never was, has sold out, and the physical copies have been created and are on their way to me now, in which then I will post them off once they arrive. If you missed out on your chance to grab it, then never fear, the calendar is on my Patreon, which coincidentally is home to dozens more custom Warhammer hentai artworks that are also not endorsed or connected to Games Workshop. So get in there after you give me your succulent watch time and prepare the tissues. Today we'll go over who Slaanesh is and what her deal is about all across Warhammer setting. Yes, I'm aware the gods of chaos don't have specific genders, but for the sake of simplicity and also common sense, Khorne, Nurgle and Titsnitch are dudes as they represent strength, growth and intelligence, while Slaanesh is a female because she ruins people's lives and sucks a lot of cock. We'll also take a peek at what her daemonettes are like, as well as some of her key champions. Let's get into it. From the get-go, we can see just how naughty this goddess is. Their symbol literally looks like a cock and balls. Out of all the Chaos Gods, in 40k, Slaanesh is the youngest, as whilst there was war, plague and schemes across the galaxy for a long time, there wasn't much in the way of planet-wide gangbangs or excessive masturbation to midgets. The coming of Twitch nearly triggered her birth, however Hero was able to banish all the ethos using the power of God and anime. Hence it took the Eldar, a race of highly intelligent, wise, sentient...
Wait, hold on. California man is suing. Oh yeah, I've seen that stupid dude. I think he's suing again. It's insane.
To banish all the ethos using the power of God and anime. Hence it took the Eldar, a race of highly intelligent, wise, sentient beings who could see the future, to bring about the Prince of Pleasure. See, for some reason, 95% of the Eldar were like, let's fuck and kill each other. So they did. And the remaining 5% were like, WTF man, and didn't. Eventually the gangbang reached a peak as they shipped in droves of squats into the orgies to indulge in their midget fetishes, and blam! The Big Bang 2.0 happened. Except instead of seeding life throughout the universe, it raped a whole lot of people. Slaanesh was born. The weakened Elder Gods could do little but also get raped, with Isha surviving due to being kidnapped by Nurgle,
Damn, she looks dope.
Gorash surviving due to his memes, and Cain kind of surviving as he was the god of murder, which had just occurred to all of his followers. As Slaanesh and Cain battled, Khorne popped in, smashed Cain into shards, and kicked Slaanesh into her scrotum. Yes, it's 2020, chicks have balls now. After that, Slaanesh has remained as a staunch threat to the galaxy, mainly the Eldar, as Slaanesh has struck a claim on their souls, meaning any Eldar that dies without protection, i.e. a Spirit Stone, an Eldar God, or rich Eldar buddies that can stitch you back together, then Slaanesh will eventually rape you. It might seem like I'm overusing the word rape for this video, but I'm just trying to be lore friendly. When it comes to Slaanesh, sexual violence is one of its hobbies. Outside of the Eldar, Slaanesh is actually pretty useless. The setting is called Warhammer, not Sexhammer, although that will probably be the name of my next hentai calendar. Hence war is what has an impact. On top of that, the Space Marine Legion that Slaanesh stole was the Emperor's children, who kind of fall into the same category of the World Eaters, is that when they fell to chaos, they all became incredibly useless.
I kind of like
more time excited that Slaanesh
scheme.
gave them the ability to get their boner back, and less time actually trying to topple the Imperium of Man. It does make sense though. Slaanesh is not a conqueror or mastermind, she's just here to have a good time, hence only ever puts effort into eating the Eldar or messing with individual people. In fantasy, just like the other Chaos gods, Slaanesh just kind of existed and invaded the world during the Great Catastrophe, along with her twisted brothers. I find Slaanesh's fantasy representation better than 40k to be honest, and I read something a while back that really put Slaanesh into perspective for me. Falling to Slaanesh is a lot more subtle than falling to the other gods, at least initially. There are actual parallels you can draw between Slaanesh and real life. No one wakes up one day at rock bottom. No one decides one day that they will become a hooker who gets fucked so they can afford their next heroin jab. These things aren't aspirational. It's subtle. A small drug here, a sesh there, a $20 blowjob with a friend after, and down the rabbit hole you go. Exactly how you fall to Slaanesh, except you have a demon god nudging you along the way. Imagine you're a farmer with a wife. You live a peaceful but boring life. The sex is nice, but it could be better. As you approach your 30s, you realize that for the next 40 years your life will be basic farming and occasionally banging your wife. You hear about a god that gives you nothing but pleasure and perfection. A very exciting god. All you need to do is pray to him and all the worldly pleasures are yours. You do so and everything feels amazing. The sex is better, the food is better, you're more confident, you're more attractive. Other people notice the new you and they like it. This goes on for a time until suddenly the feeling of bliss and euphoria begins to fade. The sex, the food, everything becomes less exciting. This would be okay, except that it doesn't return to how it normally feels. It feels worse now. The roots with your wife, whilst not insane, were always enjoyable. Now you can barely keep it up. Food has no flavour. You push your wife to try racier things, positions, toys, even chains and whips. Your wife does her best to keep up, but eventually can't adhere to your unnatural demands. Hence the feeling of unending pleasure once again disperses. You're at your favourite bar having a drink, feeling down about your new lifeless reality, when a young woman approaches you. She asks what's wrong, and you tell her you're losing excitement for life. You talk a bit longer, and she invites you back to her place. You know you probably shouldn't. You are happily married, but you feel a dark urge inside you, a whisper that promises to return to you the pleasure that you crave. So you fuck the shit out of this woman, not realizing that she too has been following the same whispers that would end in her misery. The feeling of bliss returned. Not quite as strong as it was initially, but it was better than nothing. Your marriage is strained as you sneak out time and time again to meet with your mistress, both of you taking your pleasures to new heights, as you rail drugs off her tits, as you smash her. No matter how far you go, the pleasure always vanishes eventually. You begin to feel despair as you get your withdrawals. The dark voice screams at you to go even further, and you start to fear it. You do your best to fight back, and despite a valiant effort, you once again meet with your mistress, and mid-climax, you bludgeon her to death. A new experience for you. An experience which is rewarded with a whole new level of joy. You go full Ted Bundy, killing, fucking, and kidnapping the local girls, boys, pigs, anything with a hole. You try to keep your wife in the dark about it, but it becomes more difficult. Eventually your brother comes into town with his family to visit. You bury your hedonistic desires. You don't want them to see. You have dinner, and it's great. The warmth of family distracting you from the cold, dark desires within you. You say goodnight and they head to bed. You go outside to get some air and you find yourself shaking. All the suppressed wants you have all emerge at once. It's uncontrollable. You enter into your niece's room, tears in your eyes as you can do nothing but watch in buried horror as you grab her and have your way with her. A new experience, a new high. She screams and your brother walks in shocked. He yells at you and pulls you off. Your eyes are bloodshot, your hair is a mess, and you stink of corruption. You run in shame and horror at yourself, away from the life you built. With family gone, there is no conscience holding you back. You stalk village after village, vulnerable person after vulnerable person, leaving a trail of horror and death in your wake. Your body begins to change, your teeth elongate and go yellow, your spine bends and your skin yellows and begins to fall off in some sections. At this point, maybe you get to the Chaos Wastes and are forged into a warrior of Slaanesh. Maybe you're torn apart by beastmen as you stalk their forests. Maybe you're caught by a witch hunter and have only moments to reflect on your life and the pain you've caused before a bullet tears through your mind. Slaanesh is a disease and always collects her due. So after that bright and family-friendly story, what happened to Slaanesh when Games Workshop pressed end task on Warhammer Fantasy and instead brought about Age of Sigmar, a setting known for its reasonably toned-down grimdark themes? Well, turns out Games Workshop didn't really know what to do about Slaanesh. They had a god of rape in a setting where everyone was wearing chastity belts, hence they pretty much just killed her off. I'm not kidding. The new elven gods banded together and trapped Slaanesh, placing her into a coma and begun draining her of the elven soul she ate when the old world went kaput. Slaanesh remains trapped in this pocket dimension and so far hasn't been found. Now I can't say that Games Workshop did this for sure to avoid having to explain to people what Slaanesh is actually like, but it does seem a bit sus. Either way, Slaanesh was never front and center in Warhammer Fantasy and is even less so now. Interestingly enough, Slaanesh actually tried to sabotage the Chaos Gods during the end times, so that the world that was would not be destroyed, as she actually really enjoyed what was going on. She did this by letting one of her weak-ass champions command her armies, whilst the other Chaos Gods put forward their best and brightest. Back to 40k. In Fantasy and 40k, Slaanesh has an unhealthy obsession with pointy ears, and goes above and beyond to try and get
those
them,
look dope.
to a point where the Eldar don't even seem to bat an eye at anything other than Slaanesh or Tyranids. Multiple craft worlds have fallen because of Slaanesh, some to outright massive invasions, and some because a lonely hoe let a disguised greater demon inside. That greater demon then possessed the craft world's
really
avatar
cool.
of Cain, which is just stupid and shouldn't have happened at all, but we'll just let it slide. Currently the Eldar are trying to awaken their new god of death who, if the prophecies are to be believed, will clap Slaanesh's cheeks and bring about the new rise of the Eldar. Slaanesh, despite enjoying a good old fashioned cheek clap, isn't super keen on this one, so she's been sabotaging the Eldar along the way, sending in Shalaxi Hellbane to try kill them, as well as stealing one of the artifacts they need and locking it in her palace. An Eldar going into Slaanesh's palace is like a protester trying to be peaceful in America. You're just gonna get the shit kicked out of you. However, seeing what happened to Slaanesh in Age of Sigmar, I would not be surprised at all if the Eldar ended up wrecking her at some point. Now let's go over the demons of Slaanesh, who are all as big as sluts as their mummy. Their lesser demons are called the Daemonettes of Slaanesh. Don't be fooled by the name, they are definitely not chicks, nor are they dudes. It's like a weird 50-50 where they only have one tit. To be honest, they look more like a breast cancer survivor with terrible handjob potential more than anything else. The Daemonettes don't have the fighting power that Plague Bearers or Bloodletters have, hence they have to be more subtle, acting more like a succubus than infantry. Throwing one of these Daemonettes on a steed of Slaanesh, basically a horse that looks like it could tongue fuck an elephant, and bam, you have a Seeker of Slaanesh. The steeds of Slaanesh, look, if you couldn't tell, Slaanesh has a massive ego, so everything has to be about her. The steed of Slaanesh can taste mortal desires and fear on the wind, making them excellent trackers in a really morbid way. Getting a little bit spicy now, we have the Fiends of Slaanesh that are basically a mix of the steed of Slaanesh and a Daemonette of Slaanesh, with like 6 extra titties. These beasts freeze their enemy in place with their special demon, pheromones, allowing them to then approach and rip them to shreds. Very unpleasant creatures. Next we have the Lady of the Voids, which are sneaky bitches that basically attempt to get onto ships travelling through the warp by mind raping their astropaths. If they are able to successfully possess one, they then appear inside their victim, causing them to explode into a shower of blood and guts. Epic. Onto the greater demons of Slaanesh, we have the Keepers of Secrets. While the Bloodthirsters are bruisers, Great Unclean Ones are tanks, and the Changer of Ways are mages, the Keeper is DPS. They can attack unbelievably quickly and are the deadliest of all the demons in duels. Shalaxi was able to beat Scarbrand in a 1v1, however to be fair, Shalaxi was handcrafted to beat Bloodthirsters. Fortunately, these tranny demons are unbelievably cocky, so if you feel like fighting one, then they're pretty easy to bait. Damn. Now we've checked out their demons, let's look at some of their key characters. I've already covered the Emperor's Children and Fulgrim, so I won't go too much into detail there, but there's still a number of cool characters lurking around. From Warhammer Fantasy, there is Sigvald the Magnificent, a mortal so full of himself that he rejected an offer to ascend to demonhood, as it would mean giving up his glorious mortal form. Sigvald killed anyone he found ugly, and ate their flesh. Yes, he was also a cannibal. When he discovered that high elves were hotter than him, he instantly invaded Ulthuan, who was so blinded by his pride that he led his army into ambush after ambush, until his forces were crushed. He then just kind of shrugged and left. During the end times, Sigvald ran around raping and eating people as expected, until he eventually came up against Krell. Krell started kicking Sigvald's shit in as expected, until he scarred his face. With his face ruined, Sigvald went Super Saiyan God Super Saiyan Kaioken times 20 and killed Krell in a rage. As he cried over his burnt face, Throg came up behind him and beat him to death with his club, before teabagging the corpse and pissing on it, in revenge for Sigvald trying to kill him earlier for being ugly. Karma is a bitch. The 40k equivalent of Sigvald is Lucius. When the Horus Heresy first kicked off and the traitor legions purged themselves of loyalists, Lucius originally took up arms against Horus and fought alongside his loyalist brothers. Eventually he changed side and sold out the loyalists to the traitors to get back in the bad guys' good books, so you already know he's a prick. To make matters much worse, he gives Slaanesh such a big hard-on that anytime Lucius dies, Slaanesh brings him back to life via a special rule.
Nice.
The rule being that whoever kills Lucius is not allowed to take any pride in the act, otherwise they painfully turn into him, bringing him back. Seems like a cool rule until you realize how stupid it is. One time Lucius died to a landmine and came back by overtaking the person who built the mine, claiming they took pride in their work. To make it even stupider, he was once killed by a Necron, a soulless metal zombie robot, who then turned into him because it registered something that could be considered as pride. I really hope this fucker dies soon and permanently, preferably in a badass way. Like, let's say he's fighting a character, maybe Dante, and Dante is beating him, and Lucius just laughs and says, "It matters not if you kill me. I shall eat away at your pride until I am reborn through you." To which Dante says, "You think I take pride in all the lives I have taken? I feel nothing but disgust towards myself, and a longing for darkness that evades me, only moving forward with the thought that one day the Emperor needs me. No, Lucius, I feel nothing but pity and sadness for you, as I do my duty." Lucius would then panic, realizing that if Dante killed him, he would be done for. He tries to run but is shot in the back by Dante's volcanic pistol, smashing his armor and knocking him to the ground. Dante then approaches him and says, "Die now, son of Fulgrim. When you face the coming oblivion, be braver than you were today." And with that, he slices his head off. That, in my opinion, would be epic. And that does us for today, guys. A high-octane sexualized look at a high-octane sexualized god. I'm curious what direction Games Workshop will continue to take Slaanesh. They've been very explicit about wanting to move away from just the sex and drugs vibe, and focus more on the excess and unobtainable perfection side. Hopefully they're able to nail those themes. If you enjoyed the video and want to support the channel, then Patreon is the place to be.
Okay, so I do, because Major Kill didn't really mention it in here, and neither have any of the other videos, because I genuinely enjoy Slaanesh because of what Major Kill said. It's more of a, like, it's relatable in reality, you know what I mean? Like, people fall to those urges, and I think that's why I actually enjoy Slaanesh, because I find it relatable. And I always think some of the best stories or some of the best lore are things that you could actually relate or equate to in, you know, reality. So, the interesting thing, though, is it seems like 40K... I don't know, when was Slaanesh made? Like, what year? Because I know, like, being a comic book guy, there was this time in, like, the 80s and 90s where all, like, women and stuff were just, like, big boobs and as naked as they could be and stuff like that, and there would be random, like, sex scenes for no reason, and just, like, it never added to the story, you know? The way he tells it here, it kind of seems like 40K was like, somebody created this crazy sex-filled demon thing, and then now they're kind of just like, we should really retcon that and walk it back. Especially if he says that they were trying to, like, hold her down or whatever in this thing. They're trying to make her go away, and then they're trying to bring in this new demon. What I think would be cool, I think they said this is, like, the demon of death or something along that lines. If it is, like, some kind of death demon or whatever, what would be interesting is if Slaanesh, like, overtook or absorbed this chaos demon, and she became that, like, just showing that she's even that more powerful, but she gains this idea of death, or I don't know what the basis of this character is, but it'd be cool if she absorbed another god. So you still have Slaanesh, you still have, like, the sex and all that kind of stuff, but you incorporate something else along the lines of, maybe she doesn't want this perfect euphoria and all this stuff. Maybe she wants the perfect deaths. That would be interesting. I think that would be a little bit better. Just like he was talking about how that guy would die at the end. Maybe she just wants, like, the best deaths possible. Or, you know, something like that. You know, I would need to learn a lot more to really dive into it and be like, oh, this would be really good. But I'm just spitballing here. But I think you bring back Slaanesh, because I think if you're trying, my favorite thing is when you make characters go away and then you bring them back in a badass way, you know? So, like, if there was this major war happening between two sides and then Slaanesh just comes out of nowhere and they're like, oh, fuck. And then she just ravages everything with her people, or turns them over. Like, if they have any dark desires and shit, they convert to being Slaanesh. That would be really interesting. I think that would be kind of cool. I love those kind of things. But it does seem like from this video, they're trying to like retcon Slaanesh into something better or more. But I don't know. I think she should overtake this demon or whatever this is, and then, you know, be even better. Have more things. Just add on to the whole like desires and stuff. Make her even more powerful. I think that'd be interesting. But that's just me because I think Slaanesh is dope. But yeah, this video was cool. Of course, again, it's not gonna be everybody's cup of tea, but I enjoyed it. I feel like I learned a lot more about Slaanesh. And yeah, that painting the picture, this whole analogy here was really good. I think anybody that didn't know shit about Slaanesh would really be able to understand that. So I enjoyed that. I also did really enjoy this color scheme. I thought this color scheme was dope. And the one thing I noticed is, where is it at? This particular photo right here, why have they not made this a statue? Like, I went back and I was just curious. I was like, you know what? I was, because I don't know if this is an official, like, Warhammer 40k photo or if this was fan art, but there's, like, a lot of, like, badass, I don't know if you guys have ever looked into, like, I'm huge into statues, like, I love, like, badass, like, Premiere One Sideshow collectibles, and I was like, I wouldn't mind fucking around and getting, like, a badass, like, 40k statue just to have in, like, the background, and I was like, what if they have a Slaanesh one? They didn't have anything cool. I was like, lame. It was just, like, it wasn't anything great. But that is like a fucking 40, like a sideshow collectible or something, I bet would be fire. Just having the hands come up the legs and stuff, that looks dope. But anyways, that's just my thoughts. I don't know if this video is going to get demonetized. It will be what it'll be. I'll just be like, oh! But, you know, demonetization, whatever. Let's see if it happens. I'm not really worried about that. But I hope you guys enjoyed this. I thought this was really cool. Like I said, I don't mind this kind of video from Major Kill. And I said, I'm learning stuff from 40k, so I think it's awesome. But that's going to be it, ladies and gentlemen. Of course, if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button because 91% of you are not subscribed, but you're enjoying the content. I hope. But yeah, also, come hit up on Twitch stream. Some of you guys have been coming by. I really appreciate you coming by the Twitch stream. Hit that follow button, turn on notifications so you know when we go live. And of course, if you want some stupid content, go check out my TikTok because I'm always posting over there. But as always, ladies and gentlemen, I am your host, JUICEBOX. Remember to wake up in the morning, ask yourself something about my daily dose of juice. See you guys next time.